Hey, boys and girls, it's Ron Bass with another edition of The Ron Bass Show. It's your source for inspiration, encouragement, motivation, and a little bit of humor and some fun and some gossip, maybe some gossip. Mr. Brent Atterbury, Mr. Executive Producer, Mr. Marketing Guru himself.
Howdy doody.
Howdy doody. There was a show called The Howdy Doody Time.
Oh, yeah. Long time
Years ago, right?
Years.
I'm showing my age now.
Yes.
Like 50, 60 years ago,
A
maybe?
long time. Maybe 100. No, just kidding.
Wow. Well, you know, guys, we really enjoy doing the podcast every week, and Brett and I have a lot of fun together doing it, and hopefully we can pass along some information and some ideas that will help you along the way. And if it's just one thing, maybe out of all the podcasts that we've done, it's worth it. So
Yes.
glad you guys are listening. Glad you guys are explaining that. Asking other people.
We have to start over.
Oh, we have to start over.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Where's my microphone?
It's down there.
Where is it?
Down there.
What's down there? Okay.
Maybe we should keep going.
It's okay. We'll keep going. Yeah.
I hope it picked
I'm
up.
sure they heard me. My voice carries.
It does.
Speaking of that, I was thinking to myself, how many people that I associate with that cannot enunciate correctly? They mumble. They talk real soft. They have an accent. I mean, it's like an epidemic. And last night in our kids' class at our dojo here in Missouri, at our martial arts school, there's a young girl, she's probably 5 years old, and she was talking like this. I said, you have to talk a little louder. You have to enunciate your words. I cannot understand you. And she's looking at me like these big eyes like, why are you being so mean to me? No, I was just trying to help her because as she gets older, and there's 2 or 3 kids like that, you can't understand what they're saying. They're just mumbling. And I'm thinking, where are the parents at? Why aren't they explaining to them how important it is to communicate? And then on the adult side, I've got friend after friend after friend. You can't understand them. I had a guy in my office today. I swear to God, I love this guy to death. He used to work for me 30, 40 years ago. He's retired now. He has no teeth in his mouth. And he's talking a mile a minute. And I mean, just going on and on. I cannot understand a word he's saying to me.
It's funny you say that. I've got a client that has some construction workers.
Yeah.
A couple of them don't have a lot of teeth.
Yeah.
And he said something that cracked me up the other day. He said they sound like they're talking with marbles in their mouth.
Isn't that interesting? Marlon Brando, remember that story? The Godfather, that's what they said he sounded like with marbles in his mouth. You know what? It just baffles me to think that somebody's not mentoring these people. Somebody needs to be, a good friend of them and say, hey, man, if you want to be a successful person, you want to get along and influence people, you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to explain yourself in a way they can understand what the heck you're saying. And I'm not being critical when I say this. I'm saying this in a way that to help people. So if you've got problems out there with your communication skills, guys, read about it, study it. There's classes you can take. You can go online and you can get videos. Learn to enunciate your words correctly. Learn to speak, maybe not loudly, but louder. And so they can understand. Because speaking really quiet like this. What'd you say? What'd you say? That's what I feel like saying all the time to a lot of my friends. And then on top of that, you can't understand them. I'll tell you what I think a lot of it is. They have bad teeth. So they don't want to open their mouth up. And I've noticed this about several people that mumble. Mm-hmm. So they kind of talk like this with their mouth closed because they don't want to smile. They don't want to open their mouth up.
Yeah.
I know that sounds a little bit crass, but I'm analyzing.
It's probably the big reason, or they just need to get the marbles out of their mouth.
Or they have bad breath and they don't want to get close to somebody.
Yeah.
That's the worst. So let's talk about bad breath. The simplest way to correct bad breath is really simple. Flossing, brushing your teeth, also brushing your tongue. A lot of people don't know this, but that's where a lot of the bacteria is.
Halitosis.
Yeah, halitosis. So if you just brush your tongue twice a day, guys, you won't believe how much that will help your bad breath, if you have bad breath.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of it's genetics. I know this is a crazy subject to talk about, but it's important because when you're in a professional realm and you're around people all the time, you sure don't want to have bad breath. No. Let alone in a romantic interlude, you sure don't want to have bad breath, right?
Always carry a peppermint
Always
or
carry
gum.
a peppermint or gum. Oh my God! How do we get on these topics?
I don't know.
It's like, sometimes I just go and go and go.
Yeah, it's like deodorant for your mouth.
Speaking of deodorants, I had a mathematics teacher in high school, and he was freaking out about people's odor. Like he had this thing for BO, is what he called it.
Yeah.
I wonder what BO stands for.
Body odor.
Oh, body odor.
Yeah.
It'd be too easy to understand to analyze that one. Yeah, body odor, right?
Yeah.
BO. Oh boy. See, my mind goes too far out there. It tries to be too analytical, so just down to earth. So he would freak out about it. He would call people out in the room.
Whoa.
And I thought, oh my God, this is crazy. But, you know, when you're 16, 15, 14 years old and a teacher's calling you out, that's like life-threatening almost.
Yeah.
Man. It's like your life's going to come to an end.
Yeah. Embarrassing.
Suicide, man. How many people in college and high school now are killing themselves? How many soldiers coming back from the war are killing themselves? I saw an article the other day of something like, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 soldiers a year committing suicide. I mean, something just bizarre. Horrible, horrible, horrible statistics. I don't know, guys. It's just mental illness and physical illness. You got to work out. I know I talk about it all the time. You got to go to the gym or at least walk 30 minutes a day. Hell, if you don't want to go to the gym, okay, put your tennis shoes on and walk for 30 minutes. Go through the park. Go to the neighborhood.
Ride a bike.
Ride a bike. Something, guys. Every single day, you got to exercise something. It's great for the brain. It's great for the body. Every article I read over and over again says the same thing. You're going to live longer. You're going to feel better. You're less likely to have heart disease. Yada 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 yada. I don't make the rules, but I sure want to follow the rules. Are we going to make mistakes? Yes. Are we going to get off track? Not to use a pun. Yes. Are we going to have to be, coaxed back into doing the right thing sometimes? Yes. I was telling Brent about a friend of mine at the gym today that's a very, very accomplished professional athlete. He's an athlete. And he was down today. I could tell. I looked in his eyes and I knew the guy was struggling. And I said, hey, man, I can see. And he goes, yeah, it's rough, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, you know what? When you're success-driven and you're ambitious, your life's always going to be challenged. And the key to the whole thing is to recognize just where you are in your life. And if you look around, you'll see a lot of people that would just love to be who you are. They don't have a leg. They've lost their eyesight. They don't have any money. They don't have any hope. They're desperate. They're depressed. Whatever. And here we are rolling along, not to use a jiu-jitsu pun, and we're doing by their standards unbelievably great. So you have to bring it back to center sometimes, guys. You have to look at yourself and realize, hey, man, I'm doing pretty good. Now, do I have goals that I haven't accomplished? Of course. That's why we set goals, so we can accomplish them and set new goals and accomplish those set new goals. But guys, I don't care who you are, where you're at, how much money, how successful, how popular, it doesn't matter how popular you are. You're going to have days where you're going to struggle and you're going to feel down and you're going to be upset and you're going to be disappointed. I could write a book about disappointments. I could write a book about today's disappointments, but you know what? I'm going to figure out some solutions. I'm going to find answers. I'm going to make some better decisions. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to find a way to get through it and to get to the other side. A lot of this, I think, has to do with a lot of these disappointments that we go through in life, I think, have a lot to do with who we surround ourselves with. And Brent and I were talking before we started the podcast about that. The one prayer that I speak to myself every single day is, Dear Lord, please remove all people, places, and things from my life that are not part of my divine destiny. And dear Lord, please put into my life all people, places, and things that are part of my divine destiny. I think I've done this before on the podcast, but I want to review it again. It's the whole ball of wax. It's everything. If you don't surround yourself with the right kind of people, you're screwed and tattooed. You like that phrase?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I haven't used that one in a while.
Yeah.
Screwed and tattooed.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
All my friends that have tattoos will probably be throwing eggs at me now, but I really don't see the value of tattoos. I've talked to a lot of my friends that have tattoos. Well, Ron, it's body art. Well, Ron, it means something to me. It's my sibling passed away, and I've got a tattoo with their name. I get all that. But you know what? I think there's other ways to express yourself. Have you ever seen old women with tattoos? It's really not very pretty. Even old guys that are all shriveled up with tattoos. Sorry, it just doesn't look very pretty to me. But not being negative, I'm just talking out loud. Legs are going to sleep over here.
Wake up.
Wake up. Oh, my goodness gracious. That's what happens when you get on the Stairmaster and do 30 minutes. It's interesting stuff. But the good way outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
I can promise you that. It's probably why I'm so fired up right now. I just came from the gym.
You are fired up.
I am a little fired up. It's the endorphins,
It is.
which are natural narcotics in the brain. Who needs narcotics when you've got natural narcotics?
Where's your root beer, your treat?
I know. Well, I was running late, and I said, I'm just going to bring my Gatorade with me
That's
from
better
the gym.
for you.
I know. I sure love that root beer. It's like my little treat in the afternoon after I work out. It's like, okay, Ron, you get a reward now.
This has electrolytes. Root beer doesn't.
You're right. It has sugar, which makes you fat.
Yeah.
Speaking of fat, obesity, guys, you gotta deal with it. It's everywhere. And I don't mean like an extra 5 or 10 pounds. I mean like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. I've got a friend that's 150, 200 pounds overweight. I've known this person over a year. And every day that person's going to do this and this and this and this and this. And guess what?
They don't.
And I saw him 2 nights ago. But let me tell you, this is the greatest guy in the world. One of the few people that's ever bought me a gift. He bought me a new coffee pot.
Wow.
Yeah, because my old coffee pot was not doing well. I've had to like Band-Aid it 2 or 3 times. The top broke off, and so I'd have to like move the lever over there to put the water into the coffee grinds, and then the pot broke. So I got a little like a Purex cup, and I was using that, and he felt sorry for me. So he bought me a brand new Mr. Coffee. And you know what? It's the greatest thing in the world to come in the morning to your office and you got a brand new Mr. Coffee sitting there. And man, you know that coffee's going to be the greatest thing in the world in the morning because that gets you fired up too.
Yeah.
Nothing like caffeine in the morning.
That's right.
What was that movie? Nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning. Apocalypse Now. Remember that movie? It had Marlon Brando in it and... You don't remember the movie?
Maybe.
It was a big deal, big movie back in the day. Yeah, and so the guy was flying in on Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So the guy was flying in on the helicopter. He was like a crazy soldier, and he had like all these helicopters that he was like their leader, and he landed on the beach, and nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning. It's terrible to say, but I mean that was part of the movie, and I never will forget that line. Who was the actor? Famous actor. Dadgummit. Oh, he was the guy that played the lawyer in The Godfather. What was his name?
Al Pacino?
No, Al Pacino was the Godfather's son, and then he became the Godfather.
Oh.
Who was the lawyer in the first Godfather movie?
I don't know.
Well, that was the lawyer. That was the actor in the movie. At any rate, so much for all that. Okay, so the prayer that I just said, guys, write that down. And recite it every single day. Because remember, you become what you think about, as well as you become who you surround yourself with. Those are laws of psychology, not theories, laws. You have to become what you think about, and you have to become who you surround yourself with. God, help me with hanging out with this guy. I'm kidding. Oh, yeah, who are you looking for? No, really, guys, in all seriousness, it's everything. If you're hanging out with bad people, cut them loose, man. Look, I've made some of the worst mistakes you could ever make in life. But the key to the whole thing is correcting the mistakes, not worrying about the problems that you've created because of that, and moving on. Every day is a new opportunity to correct yourself, to remake yourself, to reinvent yourself. I remember years ago, Walter Mondale, who was he a vice president? Yeah, he was vice president under Carter, I think, in the United States, and he ran for office, but he had to reinvent himself because he had this reputation that wasn't very, I guess, popular. And there was this big article on the front cover, I think, of Time magazine. Walter Mondale reinvents himself. So you have to reinvent yourself sometimes, guys. I'm reinventing myself right now in a lot of different ways. You know, you don't see all the stuff going on in my life, but I'm glad to share it with you. It's not like I'm trying to hide anything, but there's a lot of things going on all the time in my business life and in my fitness life, and I've learned that you just have to, when you figure things out and you correct yourself, just don't dwell on it. Just keep moving, and you'll find that your successes will be a lot greater, a lot quicker, a lot more often, and a lot better. I know it sounds easy for me to sit here and say all this stuff, and you're saying, well, Ron, that's easy for you to say. No, it's not easy for me to do these things. I'm just like you guys. The only difference between me and some people is that I'm stubborn, I'm consistent, I'm determined, I'm ambitious. I've got a very good work ethic thanks to my mother, who worked until she was almost 90, worked in my office for the last 10 years of her life, from 80 to 90 in my office before she passed away. Great work ethic, worked every day. So back to what I said, you become who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So disingenuous people, wrong kind of people. I looked it up today for the synonyms of disingenuous. Duplicitous. I'm not sure if I knew that word. Duplicitous. Duplicitous. I guess that suggests that person isn't, they're like a phony. Okay? Underhanded, deceitful, dishonest. And I threw in the word duped. It's easy to be duped by con artists, by people that are going to take advantage of your good nature. That's a big problem. If you're good-natured guys, people are going to probably take advantage of you, and you have to cut it off quick, cut it out. You got to cut rid of those people quick. If you hang out with those people, they're going to keep using you, keep using you, keep using you, and that's not going to be, it's not a good formula for success. I see you looking at your notes there on the computer.
Oh,
Are you ready for some breaking news?
Well, I am.
I'm ready.
I've got something that
I was born ready.
That really takes the cake.
Okay, let's go.
A 77-year-old slice of Queen Elizabeth II wedding cake sold for $2,800.
Oh my God, for real?
Yep.
How could a piece of cake like that even?
They cut it, and I guess they froze it.
Well, they froze it.
I'm not sure why it's still around, but it's 77-year-old cake, and I don't know why you would keep that, but
$2,800.
yeah. So
who would buy that? Somebody that has too much money.
Somebody that likes cake.
Somebody that likes cake.
And then today, on a serious note, is World Kindness Day.
I like that.
Yeah. Then on a fun note, it's also National Hug a Musician Day. So.
Well, I know a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
As soon as I see one, I'll hug them.
Okay. Just be careful.
And I'll probably get one of these. What?
Yeah.
Speaking of cake, I was in Walmart last night, and a lot of times they mark down prices, and I was able to secure like 10 cupcakes for like $2 and change.
Wow.
Oh, that was pretty good.
You like cake.
I like cake. I treat myself after I work out. Again, at night after I do martial arts, I like to treat myself a little bit when I get home. But, you know, I guess if that's the worst habit I've got, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the breaking news, huh?
It is.
How are we doing on time?
Amazing.
Amazing. Okay, let's see what we got up here. Oh, we got a subscriber that sent us a message today, so I want to talk about it briefly. This young lady said something along the lines of, hey, I work 6.5 days a week. I work hard. I come home, and nobody seems to care that I'm even there. So I take what she's saying to suggest that she is saying or meaning that she feels like she's lonely. She's basically saying I'm very lonely. And I just can't take it anymore is what she's saying. And so my suggestion to her, I sent her back a message, was look, a lot of people get themselves in this situation because they put too much of their hope on being happy based on other people, how other people treat them, including family, including brothers and sisters and wives and husbands and children. You know what? Sometimes that can be the worst. And I told that person, and I'll tell her again, what you got to do, in my opinion, is focus on yourself for the next year or two. Go to the gym, read more, set goals that are professional goals, financial goals, health goals, and really work hard to improve your life as a human being. What you're going to find out is that as you go forward and you start feeling better about yourself, or feeling good about yourself for making this effort to improve your life, you're going to find you don't need as many people in your life because you're comfortable in your own skin. Another thing that you could do and should do is you need to set a lot of small goals too, because accomplishment, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, really is the drug. If you accomplish a goal, that's the best high in the world. You're going to feel like, hey man, I'm doing something that's worthy, and your self-worth is going to go much higher. Your confidence is going to go much higher. Your self-esteem is going to grow. Your self-image is going to get better. Accomplishment is the drug. I see your eyes light up over
I've
here.
got to say something, because what I see in this too, and I want to give this viewer some respect, because you've made a commitment to work 6 days a week and work hard.
Good point.
And you know what? Right there is shows your passion and your commitment to trying to be the best version of yourself.
Good point.
And so you're actually doing something amazing.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to step back and say, okay, could I divert my energy into other things or somewhere else and put this energy into that? But what you're doing right now, congratulations. I
second
really
that
believe
motion.
That. Yeah.
I second that motion. Do you know where that comes from?
A TV law show.
No. What's the rules? The Robert's Rules of Order. I don't know who Robert was, but that's the guidelines that you have when you have any kind of a government, not a government, but any kind of like a hierarchy, like a committee hierarchy. Mm-hmm. And I remember reading that part of that book when I was really young and trying to understand these rules of order, because there are rules of order in like in the Congress and but even like in a boardroom, you would have these rules. But it's called Robert's Rules of Order.
Once someone seconds that motion, it gets written
motion.
into the articles.
Wasn't there a song like
meeting.
that? I second that emotion. Emotion. I've seconded that motion or seconded that emotion. I think they turned it around and said like emotion. Anyway, so much for that, guys. Golly, I come up with the craziest ideas sometimes. But that's the way the brain works. One word leads to the next word, to the next subject, and that's why we can do this in an extemporaneous sort of way. That's at least been my experience. And when I was in high school, we studied original oratory, extemporaneous speaking, and speech and debate. So I was telling Brent one day, I said, I'm so glad we can do the podcast, because all these years later, I finally get to do something with all those years of high school in the high school where I studied these subjects and was able to get pretty good at it. Actually, I won quite a few tournaments and went to a lot of tournaments, had a lot of fun, met a lot of great people. Actually, I thought I was going to go on to become either an actor or a news commentator or a politician, but as luck would have it, I got into business when I was 18 or 19 years old, and that's kind of the way it's worked out. But here we are doing the podcast, which is great, and hopefully touching some lives. It seems like we are. I feel really good about that. So back to accomplishments. It's everything, guys. Sometimes something as simple as this, facing your fears. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of heights? Are you afraid of getting in an airplane? Are you afraid of driving a car? Are you afraid of fighting? Are you afraid of speaking in front of a group? Whatever your fear is, hit it head on and try to find a way to overcome the fear. And once you accomplish that, you are going to feel like the weight of the world is off of your shoulders, and you are going to feel really good about yourself, guys. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. There's an old saying that making a decision is the hardest thing to do, but once you make it, it's like the weight on your shoulders it's like the weight on your shoulders is off your shoulders. It's like you just feel free again. Light. Like feather light.
Like you're going to fly away. Okay.
I don't know why I get so excited about this stuff, but I do. Well, any closing thoughts? We'll get out of here.
Yeah, my dad always told me, work hard and it'll come back around to you. And everything I've seen in successful people, they have outworked
Fair enough.
the other people, whether it's work smarter or work harder, but they've outworked the other individual. This applies to sports, it applies to business, it applies to your relationship. And so once again, to the viewer, the people that got ahead in life, typically they might have worked smarter, but they definitely worked harder than the others.
I'll second that motion.
That means we're including it in the articles of incorporation. No, including it.
And, Brent's right. I've always worked 7 days a week my whole career. My mother was like that, and I followed suit. Back to what I said, you become who you surround yourself with. I know it sounds too simple, guys, but it really isn't that complicated. I think the biggest reason people give up is they just don't have the patience to stay the course. I can't tell you how long it takes to get to your goals, guys. It may take a month. It may take 10 years. It may take a lifetime. It doesn't matter. The process of trying to get there is it's magic.
Throw into that little pot of magic, the want to. You got to have the want to.
Well, I think the goal, setting the goal and writing it down in the back of a card and putting it in your billfold, and you recite it over and over again every time you touch the card, it becomes mandatory. You really don't have the option anymore. You don't have the I want to, I don't want to, I care, I don't care. You become obligated to the contract to yourself. It's a weird deal. But I've been doing this for, oh my God, over 40 years. And it's everything I've ever accomplished is from writing down a goal on the back of a business card and signing it and dating it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
The guy that taught me that, his name was Philip Storrs. He was a salesman, but he would do sales seminars. And I went to a seminar and I met him and studied him, and he studied me, and this is years ago, and I've never forgot that philosophy. All these years, he taught me that many years ago. He's long gone now. He was unfortunately kind of a hypocrite. He doing things that he shouldn't have been doing, but he taught me a lot. So that was worth his weight in gold.
And I know this is on subject, but a little off subject. But something I heard this morning that newly elected President Trump.
Oh yeah, President Trump. Congratulations, President Trump.
Once he gave his acceptance speech, they said he had been awake for 72 hours.
I saw that.
So not every human can pull that off, but he wanted it. He didn't want to miss 1 second. He wanted to be a part of that historical event, and he's
a remarkable individual. Like him or hate him, it doesn't matter. But he's a subject to be studied for eternity.
Yeah.
He is some kind of guy, and man, he never gave up. Powerful accomplishment. Okay, guys, well, speaking along those lines, just remember, if you don't give up, sooner or later, those stars, they're going to line up. And all you got to do is stay the course. Be strong. Be consistent. Have good people around you. And sooner or later, you're going to find that those goals are going to become reality. So, until that time comes, and until next time, just remember, keep your head up and stay positive.